Welcome to India Limited News. Our guest today is Pranav Ghatraju. He will be honored with Youth Leadership Award at New England Choice Awards Gala on October 29th. By profession, he is an engineer and by passion, a fantastic tabla player. We are going to talk to him how he has excelled and combined these two skills, and also how he finds time to work for numerous charities. Pranav, welcome to our studio, and thank you so much for your time.
Anytime.
Excellent. So I don't know where to start. So let's first start with you about the tabla skill. When you started to play tabla?
Sure. So, namaste everybody. I started to learn tabla. I would say my learning started before my first class. So, my father used to learn tabla from Dr. Nishikant Sanwalkarji from Learn Quest from before I was born.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was born, at that time, obviously since I'm a boy, they said, okay, he's also going to learn tabla one day. So as I started growing up a little older, getting a little more, from an infant to a toddler, whenever my father would practice tabla, I'll wake up.
Sure.
It's my turn to play, and I'll bang the tabla and everything. So obviously my father couldn't practice.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually they bought me a small set where I could mess around on it. And then eventually my father had to give up because he went to startup. But when I turned 5 was the time I went for my first class in Learn Quest in Waltham.
And who was your teacher?
Same, Dr. Nishikant Sanwalkarji.
Okay. Excellent.
And I learned from under him for 6 years until he said I got to a point where if I want to take this further, I need to learn from someone in India.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, my parents started looking all over for gurus, and we find one in Hyderabad. It's my current Ustad Shabir Nisar Saab.
Mm-hmm.
And the way it worked out was he asked me to send a video of me playing. And at that time, this is before YouTube, and also he sent a DVD.
Okay, sure.
And he said, okay, he's good. I'm willing to teach. So I think that year, 2009, February, we went to India. And we had a chance to see him perform live with a student.
Sure.
And I was just mesmerized. And I just felt that right away that I need to learn from this guru. So arrangements were made, and that summer, 2009, I went to India by myself.
Mm-hmm.
And
how old you were at that time?
between 11 and 12.
11, 12.
Yeah, my first time I was 12 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to stay with my guru from morning to night, just tabla.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's just practicing, whether it's revising, whether it's just talking about it. Just that immersion experience. And that practice continued for another 4 years. Every summer. And then, of course, academics gets in the way. I went to college, but by the end of it, I never gave up on practice. I never gave up on lessons.
Which college did you go?
So I went to the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. I studied chemical engineering.
And then you start also. So we come back to your the professional career a little bit later. But I wanted to stay with the tabla on. So you have played with the major local singers and major concerts here, almost everybody in this market. So this is a very naive question for you, is how a tabla player is able to play or coordinate so well with the singers whom they have not even known or met before?
It's a great question. So the way Hindustani music comes out, it's very rules-based. Everyone says there's a lot of improvisation, but at the fundamental, there are some rules. And one rule is that one bandish, one take up. Of course, they're different, like Tal Malas. There's exceptions, but a general framework is like that. And that bandish will have a meter. And the tabla player's role is to maintain that. So where to start, where to end, it just comes from experience. Practicing with many artists that even share the same compositions. So having played over many years, okay, this is where I'm supposed to start. This is the general speed I have to play at. But at the core, the role of a tabla player is just to maintain the speed.
Okay. So now here's another stupid question for you. So now, of course, you have played with the professional singers who have been trained, and they know what they are doing when they are singing. But sometimes you go to small get-togethers and all, and people get excited and say, okay, we have a tabla, let us bring a tabla, and then get a singer who has no clue about singing. And to some extent, sometimes it can be a little bit embarrassing too, because person is just, basically, just trying it out. And you have been asked to play tabla. So how challenging and how difficult it is, and how do you deal with that situation?
Sure. I mean, obviously, since I've been in the field so long, it's interesting to see that. For me, it's almost like a culture shock. Like, oh my God, this is impossible. But at the end of the day, I'm there for a job. My job is to uplift the performance. No matter what the singer does, that's not in my control. What is in my control is my part of supporting the song. So no matter if they're off dial, off rag, I have to adjust accordingly.
And you can do that.
Yeah.
You can do it. Yeah. Excellent. Good. So now, what has really inspired you in your musical career?
Definitely. So I guess the first sort of inspiration I get is from my mother. My mother, for those of you who don't know, is Entegris Ghatraju. She's a Bharatanatyam dancer.
Yeah, of course we are familiar.
Yeah, Bharatanatyam dancer and teacher in this area. And many people don't see the back end. Everyone sees that she's performing out there and that she has many students. Her students do iron gate drums. But in the back end, she has a working life. She runs a household. She's also involved in the same charities that we are. So just the combination of all that, it's very inspiring to me that you can have your passions, but at the same time, you can maintain a family. You can have a working life. It's all just a matter about where you give your priorities to and how you manage your time. So growing up, seeing that was very inspirational, where, you see people leave their, passion in the pursuit of, career. And to someone, who's, artistically, inclined or has arts always been part of it, it hurts. But then you see people like my mother and many other dancers, artists who also maintain a professional career, that they continue to do it, who are much more senior than me. And, who have much more responsibilities than me, to be quite honest, maintain it. So that's my inspiration, is those who also do it. And also out of respect for those who have, carried me forward, right? Even though the practice is done alone, it takes a community to raise an artist or raise any individual for that matter. So out of respect for those in this community, those in India, those across the US who continuously, push my boundaries to do better, that's why I keep practicing. Especially even my guru as well, who's given me so much of his time, of his energy to groom me into who I am. Even if I'm not performing actively, the fact that just spending an hour a day with the instrument, it's just out of respect.
How long do you practice?
So nowadays, my practice, it's around 1 to 2 hours.
Every day or?
Yeah, every day.
Every day, seriously.
Yeah.
What time you generally practice?
Whenever I get time, at one point, I was waking up at 4 a.m. to hit it. Nowadays, I play like an hour in the morning before going to work, like 6:30, 7:30. Other times it's late at night, like 11, 12. Just whenever I can get that quiet space to sit down and...
Now let us talk about your engineering career. What do you do by profession? And
Sure. So by profession, I'm a chemical engineer. I went to University of Illinois, in Champaign, and I work currently in the semiconductor industry. And of course, it comes with a different, it's a different skill set altogether. But you realize that there's a lot of overlap. Like your role as an engineer is to fix things. Your role is to identify bottlenecks. Same thing in music. Your role is to support at the end of the day.
And actually, I'm glad that you mentioned, because that was going to be my next question. That when you are a tabla player and when you are an engineer, is there a two Ghatraju, or is the same person with a different roles and the core is the same?
I'd like to believe it's the same person.
Okay.
At the end of the day, whether it's music, whether it's engineering, even it's sports. most of it's teamwork. And tabla is a company instrument, and you're part of a team, whether you're accompanying sitar or a vocalist. Your role is to play your part and give your 100% in that moment to your part.
So now for this such a young age, I'm going to ask you a very philosophical question because I struggle with, and many times I talk to people and they say, oh, I'm a great, businessman, but I don't have so much time for the family. And I always argue with them that you are the same person everywhere. As a father, you are the same. As a businessman, you are the same. You are the tabla player, you are the same. The core is exactly the same. And I cannot imagine people being different persons in different places. What is your take on this with these two experiences?
At least for me, when it comes to maintaining the same person, it's all about having that balance, right? And finding ways to maintain that balance. I mean, there's so many, like for me, like I don't go socialize a lot because I have a sort of priorities I need to get done. And then for me, family is very much. So I spend a lot of time with my family at home. And
what about your siblings?
I'm the only child.
You are the only child. Okay, so of course you must spend a lot of time with your parents.
Yeah. Also, my grandparents live with me, so spending time with them. So those are my priorities. Of course, I have a good circle of friends, and the way I operate is that I value quality.
So when did you realize the importance of priority? I think priority is very important. And I think sooner we learn, better we are so that we can focus on them. When did you really, it is stuck, what, I really have to put priorities in place?
I mean, in my case, I had to learn very young in order to, maintain the level of demand I had from people who asked me to play. I've been traveling for some concerts since I was 12. And having that demand and expectation on me that I need to practice on top of, maintain an academic record. And then, that's one side, but also you're human. You need social interaction. So maintaining friendships, maintaining relationships, having that side too. You realize that, okay, everyone gets the same set of 24 hours. It's just a matter of how they spend it. So of course, did I play video games? Yes. Did I watch TV? Yes. But definitely, like over the years, it went completely down because as certain things increased.
So now you seem to be doing quite well with your career as well as music. What is next for you? What is your other dream?
Sure, definitely. Like it's been in my dream to be part of the business world. And with the internet, with online, it's never been easier to launch business. So that's definitely next on my radar is transitioning from, being an engineer and gaining all the skills I've learned the last 5-6 years being in the field, applying them to solve problems, applying that same problem solving framework, not just in, engineering, but also from music, how to inject value, how to, be a team player, how to be a supporting role to, uplift someone else's performance. So I want to transition away from, being an engineer towards more like a visionary. And it can manifest in different ways. I'm still young. I'm still traversing the waters, but that's eventually my dream.
Now, talking about young, still, if I have to ask the same question, that one question is that if you have to do something differently at this age, what will that be?
Sure, definitely. I think now it's become easier to study whatever you want. At the end of the day, it's all about skills. So the skill set I have, like I even being trained as a chemical engineer, I have a very, I like to write. So I could become, a copywriter if I wanted to. I like to, code. I could become, computer science. All because of the training I had in terms of problem solving, in terms of seeing the touch points in business and, appealing to, where there's a lack, finding where there's no one there, and being the person to solve the problem.
So what is the relationship between, since you mentioned skill and passion?
Sure. So for me, passion is kind of like that, or like the fuel. It's driven by a fact that you have a goal and you have a certain idea of where you want to be, and you'll do anything to get there. Where skill is kind of the vehicle to getting there. It's kind of like you need to hone. It's kind of the, what do you say? Like I said, the vehicle to getting there. So you hone your skills to make that path easier. So whether, it's improving your selling, or in my case, in Tabla, improving a certain technique to get to a certain level.
Mm-hmm.
That's skill. But the underlying passion is like the fuel.
Mm-hmm.
That's what keeps you going. Keep driving further.
So now, in the very beginning of the interview, you mentioned one thing, and I wanted to ask you at that time, but I just remember that I'm going to ask you that question. You said that your father was a tabla player, and when you were born and you were a boy, so you had to get to tabla. So here it raises a very important question for me when it comes to gender, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So now you yourself being a tabla player, and it made me think that I have not seen really a female tabla players.
Mm-hmm.
And the very fact that you mentioned that, I would like to see what you think about gender and gender issue in general, and also when it comes to tabla.
Sure. I mean, I wouldn't say there aren't any female tabla.
I mean, I have not seen anybody playing, but I'm sure. I hope there are.
And there are definitely more and more females taking it up, not just learning adults, but also in the younger age. In fact, among my students, I've taught the most girls.
Really? Oh, excellent. Very good.
So there's definitely interest. It's just a matter of what the dynamic was growing up. Like when I started, tabla, you can say that it was kind of expected. Because for me, like I appreciate dance, but I couldn't see myself doing it. Even though my mother is a Bharatanatyam dancer. And just the rhythm, tabla, that's what called to me. If dance had that same call, I'm pretty sure I would have gone all in on it. But when it comes to gender, it's not the music doesn't see gender. All it sees is a sort of production of hard work. So no matter what gender, what religious views you have,
now, do you know, because I'm just trying to think, since you mentioned that, there are some female tabla players. Anyone on the professional level you remember?
Yeah, there's Anuradha Pal. She's a female tabla player. There's also other ones. There's another lady from Indore. Her name is Sangeeta Agnihotri. Fantastic female tabla player.
Excellent. Good.
Yeah.
I was totally unaware of that, but I'm glad we are talking about this.
There need to be more. And of course, like I do my part. If any girl comes to me to learn, I cannot turn them away just because there's a girl.
Sure. Now, what is your take on the Western music?
Sure.
Do you listen to Western music or?
I do.
Okay.
I really like hip hop. And growing up here, you hear it every day, so you can't avoid it. But at the same time, it evokes a different feeling, right, compared to classical music. For me, classical music is like it's peace, and it brings you to a place of calmness. But you need hip hop as well. You need those moments you need those dynamic moments. You need those moments of being out there and dancing.
As I'm talking to you, I'm thinking about you. Is imagine that your father professional, your mom professional, with both hobbies and professional life and career, pursuing this American dream here. You are born here. You have a successful career in engineering. Then again, you are living your passion. All these things you have with you, and congratulations for that. And that's why we are going to honor you on October 29th. My question to you is that at this young age, for example, how old you were?
I'm 26.
26, okay. I was guessing 25, but 26. What is the message you want to tell to younger generation, or people of your generation, even younger, who are teenagers or who are in early 20s? What is, how you can, what is your message to them?
Sure. So my message would be to, lean into your childhood more. Life is too short to, give up on what brings us joy. And of course, we have responsibilities that come up. We have a career to maintain. But at the same time, like we had childhood experiences for a reason. So it doesn't have to be music. It can be anything like, maintaining a sport, maintaining a hobby. Do something that brings you joy every day. Because we have 24 hours in a day. It shouldn't all be serious. And there needs to be moments of lightness. It's all about having that balance. And what that balance helps you with is gets you that clarity that, okay, this is what matters in life, this is what doesn't. And that's how you move forward.
Excellent. Pranav, thank you so much for coming, and we are looking forward to honoring you on October 29th.
Thank you.
And see you then.
Yep.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you.